Okay, hello to everyone. I'm going to say good afternoon, good morning, good evening, depending on where in the world you're joining us from. We've got quite a lot of people signed up. I know the participant list is just growing at the moment, and we're also being joined, I can see, by significant numbers on our social media channels. We're on YouTube, we're on Facebook, and we're on LinkedIn as well. It's fantastic to see so many people, and I'm looking at some of the names coming in, and it is great to see so many names of people that we're dealing with across the year, including many applicants for the University of Nicosia in Cyprus. As more people sign in, I will just start off with some housekeeping and then I'll do some introductions. Okay, for those of you that are joining us live, whether it be here on Zoom or on YouTube, Facebook, or LinkedIn, we're going to have plenty of time today to deal with any questions. There are different ways that you can ask questions. If you're joining us on Zoom, it's very simple. At the bottom of your screen, you'll see a little icon, and underneath that icon, it says Q&A. All you need to do is type in your question there. All questions we're going to deal with at the end of the webinar, at the end of the presentation. We will read the question out, but you will be anonymized. So don't worry if you're concerned about the question. It's not a problem. Type it in and we will read it out, but your name will not be tagged to that question. So feel free to ask any question you want, and only we at this end can see your question, okay? The other reason we'll read them out is many people, perhaps more people, in fact, many hundreds of people, look at this webinar as a recording on one of our social media channels. And for them, they obviously won't get the chance to ask the question, but they're very keen to hear your questions and, more importantly, the answers to those questions. So for those people who are perhaps looking at the recording afterwards, or who are catching up, or if you want to look at the recording again to refresh your memory about the different things that have been discussed, those questions will be there for everyone to hear and obviously have the answer addressed as well. So please, as we go through the presentation, if a question comes to your mind, type it in. That means we can then, at the end of the presentation, address that question. And there'll be plenty of time across the next 60 minutes to have your questions answered. If you're on one of our social media channels and you're not watching the playback, obviously you can type a comment in on YouTube, Facebook, or LinkedIn. We're monitoring them on another screen above, and then we can deal with those questions there as well. All right, so at any point, just tap in the question. It doesn't really matter what the question is. If you've got any concerns or you think it's not going to be an appropriate question, don't worry, type it in. We will deal with everything that comes into us. So without any further ado, I'm going to introduce Melanthia from the fantastic University of Nicosia. We've got a long relationship with the University of Nicosia. I've visited the campus before. We're looking to return sometime soon as well. And the university joins us for all of our events that we do in London and Dubai, and this year also in Abu Dhabi as well. It's going to be fantastic to take the university around with us because we've got many happy students, in fact, and importantly, many happy graduates. And we do get messages about this time every year from people who've just graduated. I had one just a couple of weeks ago from someone who's recently graduated and is working in the UK as a doctor. But then we do have many happy students, and I often get photographs sent to me from different families about how well the students are progressing through the program. So yeah, student satisfaction is very high. The facilities are fantastic, and obviously you're going to get the chance to see them today. But Melanthia is one of the key kind of advisors in the International Admissions Office at the University of Nicosia. And she also, as I said, come to our events around the world as well. So if you've got any questions at all, anything about the program, anything about admissions, we have got the right person online with us today. She's obviously supported by a fantastic team. There is a huge team at the University of Nicosia, both in terms of academics, but also pastoral and admissions as well. So don't worry, you are in good hands at the University of Nicosia. And there are some exciting developments coming up at the university over the next few years, which hopefully Melanthia will touch on as we go through the presentation. So there will be a presentation from Melanthia first, and following that, there will be time to address all of your questions. And again, don't worry, ask anything you want, it will be answered, and that will benefit not just you, but everyone else watching the presentation. So Melanthia, I think you've got a fantastic PowerPoint ready for us. So if you can share your screen, I'll monitor the other streams. And if any questions come in on there, then we can then take it forwards. Okay, so
Okay.
Share her screen. I'm going to mute myself and I'm going to hand over to Melanthia now for the next, say, 20 minutes, half an hour before we then dig into the questions. Melanthia,
okay.
What is yours?
Thank you for the introductions and thank you everyone for joining. So my name is Melantia Busti. I'm a senior admissions advisor specifically for the University of Nicosia Medical School and School of Veterinary Medicine. And I will give you a short introduction about our programs, and later we can take on your questions. So this is our city campus, as we call it, in a very quiet and friendly area in Nicosia. You can see all our faculty buildings as well as other city buildings intertwined in this area. And I should say that it is indeed a very safe place. So a few things about the university. We are the largest university in Southern Europe that teaches primarily in English. We have more than 12,000 students from 5 continents. We offer more than 100 bachelor's, master's, and doctoral degrees. And we have been the first medical school that has opened in Cyprus. Our urban city campus comprises 20 buildings, and we also have probably the best student residences in Europe. So a few of our worth mentioning rankings. So we are in the top 2% of universities in the world, according to the World University Rankings. We are number 2 in Cyprus and Greece. And we are between the 500 and 600 universities in the world. Of course, we are awarded 5 QS stars for DL education, and you can see the rest of the rankings on the slide as well. A little bit about life in Cyprus. We are the sunniest country in Europe, and we have more than 300 days of sunshine, which is very important for some prospective students. You should know that here in Cyprus, English is a very popular language due to the historical affiliations that we have with the UK. Almost 80% of the population speaks English as a second language. And it is quite affordable to live in Cyprus compared to the UK, of course, and to most other European countries. So Nicosia is ranked as #1 small city in Europe for lifestyle and education. And if you're worried about the language here, we do also offer free Greek lessons to all our students, and we highly encourage them to take them. Now, regarding our student residences, as I said before, they are probably the best residences in Europe. You can see here some of the pictures, some samples of the rooms. They are all studio apartments. You don't need to share bathrooms or kitchens with other students. Of course, they include other facilities as well, such as restaurants and gyms, and they are quite affordable, starting from 8,000 euros for the whole year, including all the utility bills, which is quite a nice deal. Now, starting from the medical school specifically, as I said before, it was the very first medical school that has ever opened in Cyprus back in 2011. I should mention that when we first opened, we used to offer a franchise graduate entry MBBS degree from St. George University of London, which is no longer offered for various reasons. But I'm mentioning this because all our facilities and the mindset of the medical school are more towards the British curriculum and British way of thinking. We have 2 departments at the medical school, the undergraduate and the graduate entry program. And we currently have students from 88 countries across all our cohorts. We have 104 core faculty members that are full-time teaching at the university, and around 700 contributing faculty, which includes clinicians, adjunct academic faculty, and many more. And of course, 83 support staff. Now, it's important to say that because we have been operating since 2011, we have a lot of graduates already. In fact, without calculating this year's graduates, we have had 1,051 graduates so far in all our MD and MBBS programs. And in this map, you can see some of the countries in where the graduates have gone to practice medicine, to do specialties, to do research, and all that. And I should say that we have very high employability rates, more than 98%. at least from the students that are in touch with us and are telling us where they are at the moment. We have some very popular destinations. The UK is one of the most popular destinations for our graduates, even if they're not from the UK. And we have a careers office that is dedicated to support all our graduates, even before they graduate, with whatever they want to do in the future. Now, as I said before, we have the 6-year undergraduate medical degree, which is mainly for high school leavers. We have the graduate entry program, which is a 5-year course only for bachelor's degree holders. We are in the teach-out phase of the St. George MBBS program. We still have a few students on it that need to graduate, but we don't recruit for that program anymore. And we offer 2 master's degrees, which are distance learning. The Master of Science in Family Medicine, which is only for practicing doctors, and a Master of Public Health. And lastly, we have a PhD in Medical Sciences. Now, we follow a student-centered learning, which combines different methods of teaching. What's important is that we tackle all students with various ways of teaching. We do large group teaching in lecture theaters, especially in year 1, which is more theoretical. We do small group teaching in our labs and in our PBL rooms. Sometimes we use the flipped classroom method in order for the students to be more involved in the class. And of course, we have our clinical placements in hospitals and the self-directed learning, which is advised to the students to follow. Now, here you can see some pictures of our facilities, our anatomy lab, our clinical skills lab, histology lab, and all the other premises that we have. But I will also show you a video next, which has more details. Now, more specifically about our 6-year undergraduate degree, it has 360 ECTS credits. The first year of operation was in 2014. And of course, it is an accredited program by the relevant association here in Cyprus, and it follows the EU directive, which means that it is accredited in all countries of the European Union automatically. Now, the first 3 years of this program are the preclinical years. The 4th year is integrated between academic teaching and clinical practice. And the last 2 years are entirely clinical, where students do their rotations full-time at the hospital. We follow spiral learning, and of course, we incorporate everything that needs to be studied in a medical degree, all the main specialties, let's say, and we also teach behavioral and social sciences, ethics, and evidence-based medicine. We also incorporate early clinical training, especially through our clinical skills lab, which starts from year 2. Now, the admission criteria for the 6-year program for UK students, it would be the A-levels. We asked for 3 A-levels with A, B, B, including biology and at least 1 more science between chemistry, physics, or math. The third subject can be third science or anything else, even a language. If you're doing the IB, we would ask for 32 overall and a total score of 16 in the higher level subjects, again with the same subject requirements. And if you're doing any other qualification in another country, the national qualification of that country, for example, we work out the equivalency according to international standards, and it would be something equivalent to a 90%. Now, we do ask for an English language qualification because the program is entirely taught in English, so we need to know that all students can hold on the program. That would be either the IELTS, the TOEFL, but if you're doing the A-level curriculum, you most probably have already done the IGCSE in English language or literature, so that can waive the requirement. And in the IB, if you have English, even at standard level with a grade 5, it would still meet the requirement. Now, British nationals who have studied in an English-speaking school are waived from this requirement. And the last criterion is actually an online interview, which is done through a dedicated platform, and you need to pass it in order to get into the program. The tuition fees for the 6-year program are €22,000 per year, and you can apply for a scholarship for up to 20% based on financial need. I do want to say here that we are quite generous with the scholarships. We want to give the scholarships to the people who are entitled to them. So we take into account the overall financial picture of the family, let's say, in order to decide if we're going to give 20% or less. The estimated living cost in Cyprus, of course, depends on your lifestyle, but it would range between €9,000 to €12,000 per year. And as I said before, the cost of our student residences is around €8,000, so you should also estimate the cost of accommodation in addition. Now, we do have a graduate entry MD program as well. I will briefly describe this in case anybody here has a bachelor's degree already. This is a 5-year program. The reason it is 5 years instead of 4 like the graduate entry programs in the UK is that there is a regulation by the European Union that all medical degrees offered should be at least for 5 years. It has 300 ECTS credits. It was launched in 2022, so we don't have graduates on this program yet. And again, it is accredited by the same organizations our other program is accredited. In this program, on the first year is considered a pre-medical program, which covers the basic science, because we do accept students from any discipline, I mean, even from non-science disciplines. So the first year needs to cover that material. The second and third year are integrated years, combining academic and clinical education. And years 4 and 5 are entirely clinical. I should say here that both the programs are aligned, and the last 2 years are exactly the same. So they would follow the same curriculum. And in the end of these programs, they would get the same MD title. I mean, the actual degree certificate would be the same. It wouldn't be mentioned that it was graduate entry. So the end result is exactly the same. The admission criteria for this one is a degree in any discipline with a UK 2-2 classification or equivalent GPA. But we also ask for an entrance exam, such as the MCAT or GAMSAT, and we also accept the UCAT only from students who have a relevant degree in the life or health sciences. Again, we have the English language requirement, which is exactly the same. And we have the same type of interview with different questions, of course, as in the other MD program. The tuition fees for this program are €24,000 per year. And we have some different scholarships. So everybody gets a 10% for this year, and they can apply for the additional 10% based on their financial need. And we also have a 30% only for year 1 for those with relevant degrees, or for those with high MCAT or GAMSAT, which cannot be combined. It would be either the one or the other. Again, the living cost is the same. And moving on to the facilities that we use in order to teach our clinical training. So we do have a medical center, which is right next to our medical school. This is part of the national healthcare system here in Cyprus with registered doctors. So regular patients visit this medical center as their GP would be there. So it has a lot of patients every day. And we also use it to train our students with their clinical skills. It's very important to have, a medical center that is completely affiliated with the university. These are some other examples of centers we use here in Cyprus, especially in year 4, where we combine the academic training with the clinical training. So most of these premises are here in Nicosia. They are both private and public, and some of them are personalized, specialized, such as the Oncology Center, the Neurology and Genetics Center, or the Makarios Hospital, which is the only pediatric hospital here in Cyprus. So it's a combination, as you can see, of big centers, small centers, and all that. Now, for years 5 and 6, or the 4 and 5 year of the graduate program, as I said, we have main teaching sites. So if you decide to stay here in Cyprus, or you're allocated here in Cyprus for your clinical training, you would either be allocated to Limassol General Hospital or to Paphos General Hospital. And we also have some training sites abroad, which are subject to visa and language restrictions. So, for example, we do have some places in London, which are prioritized to British and Irish nationals. And only if they are not covered by these nationals, they would be given out to the rest of the students as an option. We also have places in the United States for American and Canadian nationals, and some places in Switzerland, in Zurich specifically, and you would have to speak German at B2 level in order to go there. So if someone speaks German, it would be a great option because it's a very bespoke hospital in Zurich, actually. I should say that there are extra fees if you are allocated to these sites. As you can see here, it's 3,000 per semester for UK and US, and 1,500 for Switzerland. I'm not mentioning Israel because it's only for Israeli citizens, and Greece is only for Greek speakers. Now, the medical school offers a variety of opportunities to the students. All students are assigned a personal tutor from the first semester, which is very important. This tutor is a member of our faculty, and they can advise students with whatever academic issue they may have. For example, having trouble, especially at the beginning of the program, with how to study, how to tackle everything, and they can consult them whenever they need. We also have the career support I mentioned before with the dedicated careers office. We have an occupational health doctor that is responsible for all students in order to be fit in order to practice and to receive clinical training throughout their time on the program. We have our student services that helps with everything non-academic, such as organizing trips and fundraising events. And of course, we are very dedicated to assist students with any financial need that they may have even later. Some of the specific student activities here at the university are the societies that we have. So I haven't mentioned that the medical school is actually a separate entity in the University of Nicosia. So we have our own societies and our own administrative offices and all that. So we have a variety of societies, and you can even start your own society if you don't see it and you think that you can find more people joining. So we're always welcoming new societies to start, and clubs, of course. As I said before, our student services organize fundraising events as well for community outreach. And we also have our great mobile clinic program, which you can see the photo here of the mobile clinic, which is a very nice extracurricular activity here, very popular among our students. Basically travels to rural areas or remote areas on the island, giving some basic medical examinations to the elderly, for example, and it's a very nice opportunity for students to practice actual medicine. Now, I will play a video with our facilities, and then I will carry on with the veterinary medicine program.
I think it's just a technical problem with the video, everyone. Melanthia is looking at it right now. So if you just give us 2 seconds.
Were you able to hear the sound?
No, Melanthia, I couldn't hear the sound on that. I don't know if anyone else had the same issue as well. But
Okay.
Video, the sound wasn't provided. There might be an issue with people's bandwidth potentially. But if that's a problem, don't worry. We can send the video out to everyone in the follow-up email that everyone get.
Just a second. Apologies.
While Melanthia is arranging that for everyone, guys, you feel free just to carry on asking any questions in the Q&A. We've got so many great questions that we're going to get through shortly. And all of them have great direct answers, so it's not going to be any debate on that one, okay? So Melanthia is just going to see if she can actually pull the video up for everyone, because I've seen this video before and it definitely shows the international kind of focus of the faculty and also the actual fantastic resources they've got on offer in Nicosia.
Okay, I think I fixed it.
Okay.
Let me know if you can hear the sound, please.
Hello everyone, my name is Chad Scow. I'm the head of the medical school laboratories. Today I'd like to invite you on a tour of our medical school facilities to give you an idea of what it's like to study with us. So come on, let's go. This is our spacious anatomy lab. Here the students learn anatomy in small groups as they rotate up and down these stations. Students receive station guides in advance that relate to specific learning objectives that are related to the weekly coursework. At each station, the students find cadavers, high-quality plastic models, anatomy atlases, imaging, and of course, an anatomy demonstrator, someone who can connect the clinical relevance with the anatomical structure. We use cadavers to teach anatomy at the medical school because we feel this is value added for our medical students, especially those who wish to undertake a surgical career path. This is our histology lab where the students learn histology and histopathology. Again, the practical sessions are done in small groups where the students use the microscopes to study histological structures. The instructor has a camera attached to the microscope where he can project images of histological structures onto the screen while the students follow along during the tutorials. This is our clinical skills lab. Here, students learn how to examine patients. First, we use the best plastic models and mannequins to introduce clinical examinations. Later, we bring in actors as simulated patients in order to develop their bedside manner. Students continue their clinical education at the teaching hospitals. We have 18 cubicles in total, where we emphasize in small group teaching. There's 5 to 6 students per cubicle and a tutor. The tutor is either a final year medical student or a faculty medical doctor. Students also have clinical communication skills where they learn how to gather and give information to patients and colleagues. This is one of our many problem-based learning rooms, short for PBL. Let's go inside and have a look. Problem-based learning is a student-centered approach to learning where students learn in small groups of 7 to 8 students and one tutor who guides the students through their weekly learning objectives. Problem-based learning connects the other learning objectives of the anatomy and clinical skills sessions and the clinical placements, where students observe real patients at the teaching hospitals with similar condition to what they learn about in their PBL cases. This is our library. It's stocked with the latest medical books and ebooks. Students have access to all the peer-reviewed online medical journals to support their study and research topics. There is a computer area and enough desk space to accommodate large groups of students who wish to study after classes. The Mobile Clinic Expedition Program is a wonderful opportunity for the students to practice their skills on the road. For example, the mobile clinic travels around Cyprus, and the students can screen for diabetes, asthma, high blood pressure, and specialized exams like electrocardiograms, ECGs. It's a wonderful opportunity for the doctors of tomorrow to connect with the community. I hope you enjoyed our tour today. I look forward to welcoming you on campus in person.
Okay.
Thanks, Melanthia. Melanthia's going to cover shortly on just some basics about the veterinary program also, for those that potentially are interested in veterinary medicine.
Yeah.
Got that option. For those who are looking at medicine, stick with us. It won't last long, and then we're going to be getting into the Q&A.
Yes. So this is a 5-year program with 300 ACTS credits, which operated in 2022. It is accredited by the Cyprus Agency of Quality Assurance and follows the EU directive, of course. Now, this program has a very innovative curriculum. We have clinical training, actual training from the first semester, where students start going out to farms, vet clinics, and all that. It has integrated clinical exposure from the beginning. Although it's a smaller cohort than the medical program, it is also a very multicultural one, with students from many countries so far. And we also use some UNIC affiliated facilities besides the ones that are on our campus already. So the on-campus facilities is the veterinary anatomy laboratory, some molecular biology and histology labs. We have the clinical skills lab as well. We have a newly renovated equine clinic that I will show you later, a small animal hospital under development, and of course, some small group teaching rooms. Now, the UNIC affiliated facilities of campus are some first opinion vet clinics, and of course, we visit cattle, pig, sheep, and chicken farms, even from the beginning of the program, and some post-mortem facilities. Now, year 5 of the program is fully clinical, so students would spend the whole time doing rotations in small animals, farm animals, and horses, of course. So the program includes all 3 categories. And besides the intramural studies that we have as part of the semester, we have some mandatory extramural studies. So students have to cover specific weeks along the years of the program, specific number of weeks for specific animals that need to be covered during the holidays, actually, during the 3 holiday periods of the program in each year. This is done in order for them to be able to practice veterinary medicine by the time they graduate, because in this way, they cover all the mandatory hours that need to be covered. Now, special mention to our equine clinic, which has now been renovated. It is located at the Nicosia Race Club, which is very close to the university. So it is now run in association with the Nicosia Race Club, but it's considered part of our city campus. I will show you a video about this later on. Now, the admission criteria for the vet program are exactly the same. I don't want to bore you by mentioning them again. The only difference is the interview, which is not done through a platform. It is actually live with an advisor. Now, the tuition fees for this program are €20,000 per year. All applicants for this year get the 10% scholarship automatically, and they can apply for the additional 10% based on financial need. And the living cost is the same as in the previous degrees. And now I want you to see our newest video about our equine clinic because it's quite nice. Okay, so I should say that applications for both programs are done online. Of course, you can request assistance from Medical Doorway. We do follow a rolling admissions process, which means that we don't have a specific deadline and we recruit as long as we have places left. And at the moment, applications are still open for all programs. And we can invite you to the interview based on either your predicted grades or your actual grades at this point of year. That was all from me.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Melanthe, for another fantastic presentation. Melanthe is just going to end her screen share. There we go. And we're going to have some time for the Q&A. So here's how we'll do this, everyone. We'll start from the top. Then what might happen, however, is some questions lead into other ones that have already been asked. So we'll start it from the top and then kind of work around the questions in a thematic way. So we're not going, from one thing to the other. Please carry on asking questions, because sometimes when we answer a question, it will then generate another question. Just keep typing them in. We're going to be online for about another 20 minutes. So we do have plenty of time to get through the questions that have been asked here. Okay, some of them we did actually answer during the presentations. We'll just reinforce that point when we come to those particular questions. And then I will, before we get into that, quickly show you how to make the application for the University of Nicosia via Medical Doorway. The first thing I'm going to tell you is Medical Doorway service is 100% free of charge. We're funded directly by the university for full transparency. So if you are looking at different opportunities and you're coming across organisations that want thousands of pounds from you or euros or whatever, please just hang up. There is no point to do that. Medical Doorway is the appointed representative of the university. Our support is 100% free of charge, and we can even help with a lot of the legal work if you need a visa. But very quickly, to show you how to make an application with Medical Doorway, if you go to our website, medicaldoorway.com, you can navigate to the University of Nicosia page very easily from the university's drop-down list. And then we've got some information about the university. The thing that you're going to have to look at is the big blue button, University of Nicosia application form. If you click on that, it will open up an application form, which will take you no more than 10 minutes to fill in. It's there just to collect your data, the main data, what program you're applying for, passport details, and etc., and details about your school grades and predicted grades. That's the basis of the application. And then we will then assess your application. And if you're eligible, we'll pass that on to the university systems, and also then get a letter of predicted grades from your school, or actual grades if you apply during the clearing period. So it's very simple to do, takes no more than 10 minutes. All we'll need is your passport at this particular stage, and any other documentation we will need, we will simply request on email. Okay, so that's the starting point to make your application. Very easy. The idea is to make it easy for you. So all you need to focus on is the interview, getting your grades, and then if you need a visa, getting your visa, your blue slip, so you can head to the fantastic, beautiful, safe island of Cyprus to spend the next 5 or 6 years of your life at the University of Nicosia. So let's go through the questions. Okay, I'll do some queries first about things that have already been answered. Someone's asked, is there an entrance exam for the university? No, the University of Nicosia system is very similar to how we do things in the UK. You will have an interview, okay, an online interview on a system, on like a recorded system for the medical course, or live online for the veterinary program. Then you will receive an offer on the basis of your interview performance. And that offer is conditional if you're still awaiting your grades, or unconditional if you've achieved your grades. So if you're, for example, an international baccalaureate student and you've already got your grades just over a week ago, and you're applying now, your offer would be unconditional, provided you obviously have met the requirements of the university. So someone's asked a question, why are the entrance requirements lower than the UK? I'm going to answer that question directly, and then the next question I'm going to hand over to Melenthea. The UK isn't, for example, just because the entry requirements are lower doesn't mean the university is any less quality. In the UK, we've had obviously an issue for many, many years, even from when I applied to university back in the mid-90s, of grade inflation. And when you've got potentially anywhere from 23,000 to 30,000 medical applicants in the UK for 7,000 seats, the requirements are going to go higher. different universities have different entry requirements. It doesn't correlate to the quality of the program or the intensity of the program. And I can tell you from experience that having 3 A's at A level doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be the best doctor. That's why we have things like interviews. That's why we have things like UCAT now as well. There are universities that have significantly lower entry requirements than, say, ABB. And that's where admission is based on an entrance exam, irrespective of your A-level grades. So things as they are done in the UK doesn't necessarily correlate to how things are done in other countries. We have one way of doing things, other universities have other ways of doing things. The entry requirement is being set to make sure that you've got the base level of knowledge to be successful with all that support the university will give you from your year one. And it does therefore provide another pathway. Let's say for some students who may have had a bad day on one of their A-level exams, which happens because A-levels are a terminal system. They're not based on a GPA, so you can have a bad day on a particular exam, which unfairly, obviously, misrepresents what your actual academic abilities are, okay? Right, fantastic question. Next one, very direct question. I like this question. How safe is Cyprus? Melanthia, I'm going to hand over to you, then I'll give my perspective.
It's actually very safe, especially for young girls. So it's a very quiet area, especially where the campus is located. Everybody walking in the streets is a student. The student residences are in a 7-minute walking distance from the medical school. All the restaurants around the area and the shops and everything are populated by students. So it is a very safe area.
Yeah, I think Cyprus was actually ranked one of the safest places for young people in the world. I think it was considered the safest place for young people. And that's the other thing, just like other places like Dubai, etc., it is significantly safer than any mainland European city. And if you're coming from the UK, it's a world away in terms of, you know, safety and personal security and things than perhaps most UK cities are going to be, and definitely than most North American cities. So I've been to Cyprus before. Extremely safe place. And Nicosia as well is the capital. It's not a big tourist destination like some of the other areas on the coast of Cyprus. So it is effectively a local city where people live, study, work. It's got a big finance industry as well in Nicosia. So it's not basically, you're not going to have the same issues that you're going to have potentially some holiday destinations with other Europeans over consuming on the fantastic things that Cyprus has to offer. Okay. But if you're looking for a sunny, safe place where family is very important, I think that's that Greek Cypriot culture where family is very important, and you will be part of a big family at the University of Nicosia. You can't ask for somewhere better. Okay, fantastic question. Someone's thinking ahead now, and then thinking about the hospital placements. Someone says about how do students get there? So let's say, for example, they're in Paphos or Limassol. Can you just tell me about the logistics of students living and commuting to those hospitals, Melanthia? That would be fantastic.
Yeah, so actually I would just start by saying that by the end of year 4, you would be asked to put your choices in order of preference. So if you want to go to the UK and you have a British passport, you have to put that first, and then Limassol or Paphos or the other way around. And it's not guaranteed that you're going to get what you want as a first choice, but they try to do it as best as possible. Now, if you're allocated in Limassol or Paphos, essentially, you can move there because you would not have any classes here in Nicosia. So you would spend your whole time in Limassol or Paphos. So I think most of our foreign students actually move there. Okay, for Limassol, it's just a 1-hour drive, but for Paphos, it's 1.5 hours. It's not very convenient for you to drive back and forth every day. Yeah. And if you need to be in Nicosia, for an exam or something, or for a specific visit, they usually organize buses for the students to all come together from Limassol or from Paphos.
Perfect. Yeah, so that's a fantastic thing that actually you can actually stay. And to be quite honest, there are many universities around the world that have remote placements, even in the UK. When I was a student studying in the UK and my hospital was in a different area away from my university, I stayed in that area there. So that is an option as well. And to be honest, staying in Paphos or Limassol doesn't really sound like a bad idea, really, to be quite honest. Okay, right, fantastic question. How do the kids, or in this case, they'll be young adults, actually, deal with practical training sessions when they do not speak Greek? To start off, I just want to give everyone a bit of a history of Cyprus, for those who don't know too much about it. Cyprus was effectively part of the British Empire for a long period of its history. In fact, there are still 2 British military bases on Cyprus, which are under current regulations part of British sovereign territory. So effectively, there are two languages in full-time use in Cyprus, English and Greek. And as Melanthia said, the vast majority of Cypriots do speak English as an effectively de facto native language. You will have the opportunity to learn Greek to a conversational level, but as I said, in most cases, the patients or in all cases, the colleagues you'll be working with are fully fluent in English. If you want to elaborate on that, Melanthia, as a person who is from Cyprus and lives in Cyprus, about how that works.
Yeah, so as I said, the majority speak English as a second language. I wouldn't say native, but we also provide interpreters on our clinical sites in case any of the patients do not speak Greek. And we always organize the groups of students to be a mixture of Greek speakers and English speakers. So they will help with the translation in the case that the patient does not speak English. But the doctors all can translate and help with the situation. And I should say again that we encourage students to take the free Greek lessons in order to help with this. And you have 4 whole years to do your Greek language training before you reach year 5, in which you would actually need some of those skills. But it's not part of the curriculum. It's important to say that Greek is not assessed as part of the curriculum like in other European universities.
Yeah. So you will have the opportunity, everyone, to learn Greek, but it's not going to be assessed. It's not a mandatory requirement because English is so broadly spoken on Cyprus and because of the availability of interpreters. So it's less of an issue than perhaps other programs across the European continent, as Melanthia has said. However, I would recommend, regardless of where anyone chooses to study, one of the benefits of studying abroad is that you get to immerse yourself in another culture. And in fact, Greek is a very useful language for medicine. Let's remember that, okay?
Yes.
In many universities, medical Greek is still part of a curriculum in other countries across Europe. So definitely worthwhile language to learn, not just for the medical side, but for living in another country and something.
Yeah, the terminology of medicine is heavily based on Greek.
Exactly, yeah. Okay, so someone asked when I can apply for the university. Very simple. If you want 2025 admission, then you can apply now. We've processed, I think, 4 or 5 applications over the last few days. So we can still apply on the Medical Doorway website for 2025 admission. If you want to apply for 2026, we can actually do an early application now, but it wouldn't be assessed at this particular stage. We can do that as well. But most of our applicants for 2026 will come online from September of 2025. The vast majority will come on perhaps after the 15th of October UCAS deadline for those who are applying to the UK, perhaps as their first choice. But it's a rolling application system. So if you apply, the earlier you apply, the earlier you will have your interview, and therefore the earlier you will receive your offer. Okay. So someone's asked about the links with UK universities. Now, the UK is not currently in the Erasmus system because obviously when we left the European Union, we left Erasmus. But as Melanthia has said, Lewisham NHS Trust, the university does have close links with the hospitals in the UK. In fact, Cyprus and the UK have so many close links going back over many years. But it's a fantastic opportunity. The reason the programme that was linked with St. George's is because that was the first programme delivered. It was a franchise agreement that then saw its end as the university developed its own medical curriculum. So that was always a temporary thing anyway.
And also, it's mainly because of Brexit as well that this has stopped it, because as a university in the European Union, we need to provide a European degree. And the UK one was not a European degree. That's why we could not proceed with that.
Yeah. So for anyone who voted for Brexit, therefore, there's another ramification of what that vote to leave the European Union has done. I do have to say the other thing for British students is you do need to apply for the blue slip for the visa now, not in the European Union. Beforehand, we didn't need to do that. We had freedom of movement. We do not have that now. What I do say to British students is plan ahead for doing that visa. For Cyprus, it does require a lot of documentation, including a HIV test and a variety of other private medical tests that you have to have done. That's just Cypriot rules. It's nothing to do with Britain. But when we chose to leave the European Union, that had ramifications, and that is one of them. Okay. Melanthia, someone's asked, and this is a really good question. You've given us some information about the pastoral support. Okay. Can you just talk a little bit about how that works, say, for people with something like dyslexia or dyscalculia? Yeah?
Okay, so before enrollment, all students need to complete a health questionnaire, and we ask about all the conditions that the students might have either learning difficulties or specific diseases that need attention. So students can provide proof by their doctors and some suggestions by their doctors of how we can help them. And of course, we do provide extra time in the exams if necessary, or give any specific requirements for them to do as well as possible in the exams and in other assessment methods. So as long as they disclose all their necessary information and proof of that.
Perfect. Yeah. And that's the university will provide that support. Okay.
Of course, yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to kind of skip ahead to a couple of the other questions, and then because I'm trying to stay thematic here. Okay, so we're going to dig into, for example, recognition in the UK and those kinds of things now. Someone's asked, is there a job guaranteed after graduation, either Cyprus or the UK? I just have to be honest with people in the world. Jobs are never guaranteed for anyone. Okay, all right. No one is going to sit here and guarantee you a job. Okay, there's no job physically waiting for you, but the license that you get is recognized across the whole European Union because it's a European Union license, and also with direct recognition in the UK for full registration. So I'm going to show everyone where the evidence of that is. Okay, sorry, we just had a delivery to the office. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, everyone, is if you want to check the regulation, okay, you can go to the GMC website, and I'm going to share that with everyone right now. Okay. Okay, so GMC website, evidence of qualifications from Cyprus. Because you've done your internship year in Cyprus, you don't apply for provisional registration, you would apply for full registration. And as you can see, the University of Nicosia is actually named there on the GMC website. Okay, all right, so there you go. You would apply for full registration, and then you can apply to take up trust-based positions in the UK. There has been some debate about the new NHS plan this year. Based on my reading and doing some further reading at the moment, if you're a British citizen, it's not going to affect you significantly, actually, because there are vacancies available, and they are going to prioritise British passport holders for those jobs as part of our immigration regulations. But you will see that you can qualify for direct full recognition with the GMC. So for the person who's asked about GMC recognition, that's all written there on the GMC website.
And as I said before, the UK is actually probably the most popular destination for our graduates. We have a very high success rate in placing them for doing specialties in the UK and registering with the GMC.
Yeah, and that's actually links both, not just the quality of the program, the historical links with Cyprus, the fact that you can do UK clinical placements, and that there is a proven track record. And this is very important when you're choosing universities internationally, everyone, whether you're listening to this live or on a recording. Look for universities that have a proven track record of graduate employment in the UK. We're getting so many requests from students who've gone to universities in places like Georgia who are trying to ask for transfers now because they're realizing that what seemed like a great opportunity at the time, if they were misadvised, is not a great opportunity now. So I would strongly recommend look at universities that have the graduate employment track record, and the University of Nicosia is up there at the top of the list with universities that do have that employment track record in the UK, as well as having those links with a UK hospital. So I'm going to skip down something else. Someone linking to that question, someone's asked, can you practice in Africa after graduation? Listen, you need to check the medical regulator of the country in which you want to work, all right, and see what processes they implement. If you want to work in the United States, you're going to have to take the United States medical licensing exams, which the University of Nicosia also has a very good success rate. If you want to work in Canada, you're going to have to take the MCCQE exam and then the practical exam, I think it's the NAC or NAS or something like that, after that particular program. If you want to work in other countries, they may have automatic recognition, they may require a licensing exam. It depends on the individual country. So I strongly advise you look at what that medical regulator in your country requires of you, and whether the University of Nicosia would be the right pathway for you eventually to go and do that.
And our careers office can also help you with that, with extensive information and guidelines.
Wonderful. Okay, so let's just talk a bit about the teaching now. Okay, we'll go on for about another 15 minutes, guys, okay, because there's still some questions we need to get to, and these are great questions, and I want to make sure we do get them, as long as you're available, Melanthea, for another 15, 20 minutes.
Of course, yeah.
Right. Can you talk a little bit about the assessment strategy? Someone says, how many attempts do you get at an exam? Let's say, for example, that the worst happens, you fail the first attempt. What is the process and what's the policy of the university?
Okay, so you get a second attempt within the same semester because you have to pass all the modules of each semester before you proceed to the next one. Now, if you fail again in the second attempt, I think only in the first year they give you a third attempt. And then they look at it case by case. So they will look at the whole picture of the student. If it's only one module, if it's all the modules, what's the quality of the student? Does he participate in classes and all that? And they decide if they will give more attempts. If not, they might need to repeat the semester. Worst case scenario.
Yeah. But one thing I'll say about the University of Nicosia and speaking to the students, there is obviously a student support office, okay, that is large, it's very well staffed. So if you are struggling with a learning thing, or perhaps you failed the first exam, you need to go there straight away, because there may be some reason whilst you're failing it, which might not be related to the academics. And 9 times out of 10, a student failing an exam is not purely down to the academics. There is something else. They're not learning in the right way, or they've positioned themselves in terms of what they're trying to learn at the wrong level. Or might be a personal pastoral issue, or homesickness, things like that. These all do happen, okay? But the university have staff there to support you through that. And that is
That's what the personal tutor does, actually, who is assigned to you from the beginning.
Yeah.
And if you use all the resources offered by the university, it's quite hard for you to fail.
Yeah, if you do that, and like in a UK university, and the University of Nicosia implements a system very similar to those who perhaps used to a UK system, where you will have a personal tutor who you will have regular meetings with. They're basically meant to take you through the program. Okay, let's move on. We'll stick with the academics for the moment. Okay, all right. Let's have a quick look. Applications are still open. They will close, depending on your nationality and visa procedures, they'll close quite late. We do still get applicants in August, okay, at clearing. Easy, obviously, we have to speed you through the visa process. It is possible, but we can still take applications. What I would advise is, if you're waiting on A-level results now, even if you've got an offer or not for the UK, do not wait until your A-level results come out. Apply now, so we can at least get you through the interview, get you your conditional offer, start you on the visa process. And if everything goes well on August the 14th, you can then more or less speed yourself right through the rest of the process. The earlier we apply, the better chances we're going to have to get a place, and make sure you can enroll on time without having to catch up or miss anything, okay? Right, let me just get rid of those questions. Thank you. Okay, perfect. Right, accommodation. Someone says it's guaranteed for all students, okay? You have very good capacity in accommodation, but some students choose private apartments, I'm aware, as well. Is that right, Melanthea?
Yeah, so it's guaranteed, but not in our student residences. So if those rooms run out, our student services team can help you with providing a list of real estate agents or apartments that are close by. And as I said before, the whole area is full of students. So all the apartment buildings are occupied by students, essentially.
Yeah. So that's dealt with 2 questions there. Okay. Someone's asked, can they apply if they're predicted triple B? Yes. If you're applying for, if you've been predicted triple B, apply. Your conditional offer will be ABB. But remember, you're given credit for the interview. So perhaps you do get triple B, but you perform very well on the interview. There is still a chance that you will be accepted. We've had students who performed really well on the interview, but slipped to triple B on results day, but then were admitted on the basis of how good their interview was. And they're now graduating and working in the NHS. If in doubt, make the application. Melanthea, you wanted to...
I was going to say that in clearing, we do accept BBB.
Yeah, so people with triple B have been accepted in clearing, okay? There's no guarantee, because obviously the seats may be full with ABB, but the last few years we've had people with triple B accepted, okay? Someone's asked about, are the clinical years guaranteed abroad? As Melanthea said before, you'll write down your preferences, okay? I just want to say, if you want to come to the UK and do your clinical placements here, you have to have one of 3 things. You have to have, obviously, a British passport, an Irish passport, or settled status in the UK. So if you're a European citizen who moved to the UK before Brexit or during the interim period and got settled status, that's the equivalent of having a British or Irish passport. If you're a non-British or non-European citizen who've got indefinite leave to remain in the UK, We do have students who perhaps hold a passport for, say, India, Pakistan, Nigeria, but have got indefinite leave to remain in the UK. Again, you would be considered for the UK placements, but you need to write down your preferences, and the university work, they try to move them things around to benefit everyone in terms of getting your clinical placements where you prefer to have them, okay?
Let's clarify that if the interested people are more than the number of places, not everybody's going to get these places, even if they have a British passport, okay?
Yeah.
So
yeah, it depends on how many people are after those particular placements.
Yeah.
Then
each cohort is different. I mean, the numbers are different.
Okay. Right, we're nearly getting there now. Okay. Oh, someone's asked a question about under 18s. You do accept someone if they're under 18. You don't have to be 18 on enrollment for the University of Nicosia.
No, we don't have such a regulation.
Right. Okay.
But they need to have completed their education, of course.
Yeah. And just to ask that last question that came in, yes, the 6th year of the program is the internship year. You take your state exams, and at the end of that, you get your full license to practice, which is obviously what I showed, what you need on the GMC website. Okay. Someone asked about accommodation, total cost. Like we said before, if you're doing the 5-year program, because this person is asking about the 5-year program, you're looking at around about, I would say, 30 to 34 to 38,000 pounds a year in terms of tuition and living, euros, I should say, per year on average. It will depend on your lifestyle, obviously, as well. 22,000 euros a year living cost without the scholarship.
Yes.
Without the scholarship, around about 9 to 15,000 euros a year is comfortable in terms of in terms of your living costs. Okay, right. We're going to just clarify a little bit about the exams again. We're going to revisit that, Melanthia. Someone's asked about the assessments. Obviously, the students have practical exams. They have OSCEs. What are the types of exams do they have on the program? Coursework, written assessments, things like that.
So each module is different, but no module is 100% assessed through one method. So you have, a lot of options to get a final mark. It would be midterms exams, and especially in year 1, final exams, projects, coursework, presentations, and every module is different. So you would get a lot of chances to succeed in each module.
Perfect. And for those students, we have a fantastic question. Can you apply more than once? Right. If you, for example, have an offer this year and you slip your A-level grade, you get 2 Bs and a C, something like that, you can, and you're going to retake your A-levels, you can reapply. It's not like in the UK where you've got to have taken your A-levels across a 2-year cycle. If you're retaking your A-levels, the university will still consider you. So if you're a student who's been in that situation and you're applying as a gap year student, retaking your A-levels to get that ABB or higher, the university will still consider you. It will not be you won't be at a disadvantage. Okay?
And we also accept A-levels from different sittings. So you can use one from last year and 2 from this year, for example. So
let's say, for example, you get 2 Bs and a C, and then your C was in, say, biology or chemistry, you retake it and get 1 A, then you've met the requirements, okay?
Yeah.
So someone said, if I apply now, when will be the interview? Literally, we will process things very quickly. If you apply now on the Medical Doorway website and we have your actual grades, IB, A-level or predicted grades, we'll get that on the system. There is an interview fee, which is 60 euros, or we charge you £58 to cover the banking fees for that. We pay that to the university. Then you will have your interview very quickly. Within a week or 2 weeks is the usual wait time for the interview. Okay, and then usually I think it's about a week to 2 weeks after the interview that the offers are or decision is taken on the offer. Am I right?
We say maximum 10 days.
Maximum 10 days. So
but as the summer approaches, we process things very fast.
Yeah, we know that with the summer approaching, you have to get your visa. For those who are non-EU citizens, and that reminder does include Brits. For those that need to get a visa, the earlier we do it, the better. They will turn the offers around quite quickly, get a decision to you, so you can start to make those required steps for your visa. Last question, unless anyone wants to ask any more, we do have a little bit more time. Credit transfer. Do you look at credits from other European Union programs as a potential option?
You mean to transfer in advanced years?
Let's say, for example, someone's got credits from let's say someone's got credits from another medical school. Will you look at those credits for a transfer? I know it's a difficult question because it does differ on course alignment.
Yeah. So we have a very strict transfer policy, to be honest with you. We don't do credit transfer in individual modules in a random order. So in order for them to be credited, they need to have covered the whole first year and then the whole second year to be almost exactly the same as our curriculum.
Okay.
in order to enter in advanced years.
Typical for many universities. And what I will say to those people that have been looking at that is you will unfortunately struggle because no two curriculums are completely identically aligned. Okay, so in theory it's possible, practically it's very difficult. If you're asking from credits outside of the European Union, it's never going to happen at all. Okay, we just have to be quite clear. We're going to have to start from year one. As like I said earlier on, we've got a lot of people who've been requesting transfers from places like Georgia. It is non-starter. You're going to have to start from year one. My recommendation is you should have started from year one in the first place and never gone there. But that's just the case you might find yourself in. If you've been predicted C grade, you can apply. But remember, we are looking for B grades. They might give you an interview, but the offer will still require at least B grades to get accepted. Someone's asked, and this will be the last question we'll take now, everyone. So if we can wind that down, what's the last date of application for clearing? Right. I have to be quite honest with you. That's the worst question ever to ask because it means you're going to do everything at the last minute and it's habit forming. My advice is if you want our attention, the right kind of question is when should I start making the application? Okay, so if you are looking at clearing, if you are looking at this year, even if you have an offer through UCAS, conditional offer for the UK, make the application now. No one is going to pressure you for a deposit payment now before 14th of August. But if you've got the offer, you can at least start going through the visa process, get the documents ready. So if on August the 14th, you don't get your A-star AA or whatever you require, you can then automatically put your foot to the floor and accept the offer from Nicosia. Come the 14th of August, applications are going to be coming in non-stop. If you want to get ahead of the game, make your application at medicaldoorway.com now so we can get ahead. My favorite phrase, proper prior planning prevents poor performance. The earlier you start, the better. I don't like the word deadline. I hate them. Deadlines mean things come in late or even come in at the deadline or after the deadline. So if you are serious about this, make the application now. You're not under any legal obligation. No one's going to, hit you over the head, put you in a sack and drag you to Cyprus to study at the medical school. It's always going to be your choice, but at least have the ability to say no to an offer rather than, not having that ability or someone saying no to you because you applied too late. So I want to say a huge thank you to Melanthia. We do have students from all across the world. For those of you that are looking at 2026 or beyond, we've got 2 events coming up. For those of you in the Middle East or who can get to Dubai, the university will be with us in Dubai and in Abu Dhabi on the 8th of November in Dubai and then the 10th and 11th on our school tour of Abu Dhabi. And then on the 29th of November, the university will be back with us at the Royal Society of Medicine in London for our big UK event as well. Our Get Into Medicine events. I've got huge footfall both in Dubai and London. So you can come and meet Melanthia, meet the university, speak to everyone, find out the reality about becoming a future medical or in the case of veterinary student at the wonderful University of Nicosia. I want to say a huge thank you to Melanthia and Konstantinos, who we just had a quick chat with before the webinar went live. Thank you to everyone who's been online today. Thanks for all the fantastic questions, and we're looking forward to helping as many of you apply to the University of Nicosia as possible moving forward, and hope to see many of you enrolling and then graduating, inshallah, 6 years from now or 5 years from now for a graduate entry pathway or veterinary, and then taking your career far and wide wherever you want to go in your life. Thank you, Melanthia. Thank you.
Thank you for having me, Ben. Thank you everyone for joining.
Take care. Bye, everyone.